Alright guys, welcome back to 6-3 Outdoors. We're back on the boat project. It's been several days. So today we're really focused on electrical. We need to get our nav lights working, make sure our bilge pumps are working. I've got a depth finder to wire up. Trolling motor needs to be looked at, so we're kind of just going to work through that in that order. Nav lights, bilge pumps, trolling motor, and so on and so forth. So let's get to it. Alright, weirdly enough, this is the first boat I've ever owned with the nav light, rear nav light being on the left side. But we're going to plug this in, and right now, I'm finding a mess down in here. So, this is going to be interesting. There, got the nav light. I found this one wrapped in electrical tape. It's always never understand what you're gonna find with it. Guess we know why it has electrical tape on it now. So, as you can see, most of the labeling has worn itself off. So we'll need to come back in and relabel this panel. Alright, the front nav lights work. You check the back, and it could be just simple as the bulbs going out in it. Alright, so I'm not getting this light on. I'm going to check power coming to this plug. I did notice that when I took this off, that this housing is cracked right there, so I don't know if it's broke. So that could be the problem. So we're gonna check it out. Alright, so I pulled that out and I follow these wires back. Coming back here to this bus. So I got power on it now. I got my meter up here. Sorry. I'm getting volts to the bus, or to that. So most likely the bulb is either blown or that pole is bad. So we'll try something else real quick. I'm getting some weird readings coming through here. So it very well could be the rod. I'm dig a little bit more into it and see what I find. Alright, so I found these butt splices. I'm gonna go in and re-terminate these just to eliminate them, to make sure there's not something going on. You can have corrosion or anything down in there. So we'll re-terminate those. I got all my stuff over here to redo it. So we'll get started on that and then see what we're getting after that. Alright, we got these splice, so I'm gonna go check and see if we got power coming through this plug now. Alright, we're getting voltage through it. But when I plug the bulb in, we're getting nothing, so I will get a new bulb for it. But I believe that's good. Obviously, we're under 12 volts, so get some charge on this battery. So I believe once we get the bulb replaced, we'll be good on the nav lights. So we're going to go on and move on to the next thing. Alright, so working on the pumps now. I can hear them kicking on from up there. I would like to see if they actually work. But I think I'm going to get over in here and see what's down in there first. And then I might put a little bit of water down in there just to see. But like I said, I can hear all the pumps kicking on. So we'll see what we got. Alright, we're putting a little bit of water in there. Try and get them to kick on, make sure it's pumping. All right, guys, our bilge pump is working. Pretty satisfied with that. There's still quite a lot of wires down there. I got to go through and see what's going on with all that. So we're gonna move on to the next thing and get it started. All right, so this trolling motor come on the boat. This casing's busted. It might be salvageable, but just in case, I did get another trolling motor. It needs the cables replaced on it. So I'm gonna see what I can do with this. But first things first, there's 2 batteries inside this compartment. So I'm gonna try and get them out and see if they'll charge. I'm gonna probably replace those batteries. So we'll get to that first. All right, so I got that battery out and that battery out. And they're not looking very promising as far as still being good. All right, guys, we're gonna call it a day on it for right now. We'll pick back up on this tomorrow afternoon. I got those batteries out. They're sitting on a trickle charger, so we'll see if they charge and hold a charge. And then we'll get back on the trolling motor tomorrow and try and get this new depth finder installed. There is a depth finder on the front. I'm gonna check and see if it works. So it doesn't look good. The screen looks really faded on it, but we'll try and see if we can get it to work. All right, quick update. We got the lights working. There was corrosion down inside this plug, ended up getting out. So we're gonna move on to the next thing. All right, guys, so we went with a different trolling motor, but it is not looking much better than the one I took off here. So I'm gonna try and retrofit. This is a Motor Guide, and the one I took off of here is a Minn Kota. But the cables are different, obviously. But I believe I can retrofit the cables by swapping the foot. So I'm gonna try that tomorrow. But for now, we're gonna start trying to set up the depth finder. All right, so this is what I'm going with. I picked this up off Marketplace. I got this one for like 80 bucks, I believe. But we're gonna put this one on right here next to the console, and probably something similar up front. So we're gonna get this slapped on and get it set up. All right, so we've installed the unit on the boat. We still gotta drill the holes and pull the wire in for everything. So we're gonna get started on that. There was another hummingbird up here at some point. These plugs and everything go to it. So maybe I'll use that power cord because the one I have is not long enough to go back to the battery. And I don't know if there's a bus bar underneath there. So we're about to find out. All right, so I wasn't getting power on the depth finder. Started tracing everything back to what was originally there, and I hope I didn't mess up my graph because I used 2 red wires instead of red and black, and both of them are landed on the positive terminal. So I'm gonna move that and see if that fixes it. There. All right, so that was the problem. We got power on it. So I'm gonna set up the depth finder or the transducer, and should be wrapping up on this one. I do think because of this is a mess back here. I believe I'm going to get a bus. I didn't see one under there and hook it up because I don't like all these wires coming back to the battery. I can clean that up, and I'd like to. All right, got the graphs installed. I was able to use the old cable and stuff for the transducer. They're both Humminbird, which is good. So I have a spare transducer now, which is also really good, especially for these down imaging ones, because I've had to replace them before. So We got a spare, so if we can find another unit, just this, I can put one on the front, and then we'll have a graph up there too. So we'll move on to the next thing. All right, so we put this trolling motor on last night. The cables are broken on it, and the old one I took off was a Minn Kota. This is a Motor Guide. The Minn Kota cables are in good shape, but the whole housing up here is busted off and it's destroyed. So what I'm going to attempt to do is retrofit that Minn Kota foot pedal to this to see if I can get the cables working. I may be wasting my time doing it, but I'd like to give it a shot just to see. Alright, so I got this broke loose. So obviously I'm not going to be using this. That's going to come off, and I'm going to try and swap the speed control off this one with this one. As far as the on-off switch, I believe I can use all of that. And then the mechanisms for the cables. So we're going to try this, see if it works. Alright, so at this point we've got our speed control fit in from the other foot. So far everything's going good. I was pulling these wiring out, and I'm finding spots in it that don't look too good. There. Right there. So I do have this other trolling motor, so I may take a few pieces out of it to kind of patch this up. Alright guys, so mechanically we've converted it with this Minn Kota foot control, Motor Guide trolling motor. So like I said, mechanically we've got it. Now I've got to set all the electrical up on it, but I want to make sure I can mechanically do it before I went to electrical, because I feel like the electrical will be the easier side of this, because the biggest thing is on your cables, you've got those little holders on it, and they're different sizes. I had to kind of drill out the ones on the trolling motor to get them to work. But like I said, mechanically, we've got it. And, you know, it looks pretty smooth. So we've got that, and we were able to put the speed control on here. So I believe from here on out, hopefully it'll be simple going, but you know, things never go as planned. All right, we're gonna start running the electrical, getting this foot pedal set up so we can test it. Like I said, mechanically, everything's working. I've unhooked everything, so we're about to hook it back up with the moment of truth. Well, guys, we got a trolling motor. All right, guys. So, got a trolling motor. I'm gonna get this cleaned up, put back together. We got the graphs installed. You know, I've got a video of it running. I'm gonna post it now. And so with all that, I think we're ready for a water test. So the next time y'all see this boat, we should be putting it in the water to fish. So y'all stay tuned, and thank y'all for watching.